Why are there no checkpoints in the US? In the time I lived there 3 beautiful years, I don't think I have seen a single checkpoint except a few permanent border control checkpoints. I was never even randomly stopped by police on the road. The region one come from. Random temporary checkpoints pop up all around the city to catch unlucky people with issued warrants, or to give fines for traffic infractions and offenses. I'm not making judgments either way, I'm not comparing the two places. But I just find it curious. So please don't make your own judgments. There used to be drunk driver checkpoints frequently when I was a kid, but I haven't seen any for a long time. Random checkpoints are unconstitutional because, with few exceptions, police must have an articulable reason to stop a citizen. Random checkpoints are overall illegal in the USA. For all the absolute horror you hear about the US, on average we typically tend to stay the hell out of your business until you give the government a reason to get all up in your business. Go to work, pay your taxes, don't break the law, and you literally won't exist. Where are you from? Checkpoints for what? I don't know where all of these people live, but they still do this in NY on all of the big drinking nights. There will be one coming up in a couple weeks, the night before Thanksgiving. Police will be set up right outside SUNY Schenectady, and they'll be handing out tickets like candy on Halloween. When we say it's a free country, that's what we mean. People can do what they want, mostly. Randomly being stopped is illegal in the USA. Drunk driving checkpoints are a thing though. Federal law allows them as a roadway safety issue. States may choose not to allow them. When I moved to North Carolina, random license checkpoints were a fairly frequent thing in my area. WNC. Someone took them to court and they no longer do them. Freedom guitar solo in front of flag with an eagle. San Diego has plenty of DUI checkpoints in the city. And there's a border patrol checkpoint between here and LA on the 5 freeway that is sometimes open. The government doesn't care on a day-to-day basis about you here. I mean that in both the good way and the bad way. Some states prohibit them and technology has made them very ineffective. If they set up with DUI checkpoint in your city, 5 minutes later knows it via social media and text message. Everyone having a camera in their pocket stopped this unconstitutional act. Virginia used to have these signs that say last exit before DUI checkpoint on the interstate. And of course the actual checkpoint was on that exit. I imagine some people were drunk and dumb enough to fall, for which case I hope they were arrested. I am against being dumb or drunk while driving. Freedom of movement is a big thing in the US. So checkpoints only come up at like military bases and the national border. But police can and do pull people over for speeding or any traffic violation, even super minor things. Lots of places cops get paid extra the more tickets they hand out. So there's a lot of man police officer paper. You're going 5 miles per hour, hover the speed limit. The cops need probable cause to pull you over. Going through an area is not probable cause. Actually, you are in fact comparing the two places. Because you mentioned both, and that appears to be the entire basis for your post-lol. License plate readers do most of the work for law already. A checkpoint is essentially the cops saying everyone in this area is automatically suspected of an unspecified crime, and it's on them to prove their innocence. This is counter to just about every purported tenet of our system of laws. At least on paper. Cops are not allowed to stop you against your will unless they reasonably suspect that you specifically have committed a crime, are committing a crime, or are about to commit a crime. Police in the US do not need random checkpoints. They just stop you for a fabricated reason. It's called freedom, bud. We have this thing about unreasonable search and seizure. Because generally it's against the law to stop someone without reasonable suspicion, aka unconstitutional. It's state by state. For example, my state, Oregon State Supreme Court, ruled that DUI checkpoints were unconstitutional because you cannot stop every person unless the police have a reasonable suspicion that you were committing a crime. We don't want checkpoints. Unless it's a border, interior border, or occasional DUI checkpoint, they are unconstitutional. We have rights to protect us from that kind of bullshit. Yeah, we're not one of those countries yet where we are randomly forced to show our papers. I'm sorry you live in one though. The only checkpoints we have are for commercial vehicles. Those have scales and inspections. They're looking for various illegal activities, but mostly it's for agriculture because pests can be carried from state to state. I just saw Starman yesterday, classic movie emo, and they had an completely unconstitutional roadblock where they made everyone get out of their cars on a major highway and line up. This was while they were searching for the Starman. I know it was a movie, but hilariously unconstitutional. Sometimes you'll happen across random checkpoints that the police put up at times and places where they're likely to catch intoxicated drivers. I don't see them otherwise. Because according to the United States Constitution, the police need to have reasonable suspicion that you have committed a crime in order to search you of your property. It's a waste of resources to put up a checkpoint and have everyone refuse to consent to a search. The Fourth Amendment to the Constitution states the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects, against unreasonable searches and seizures, shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched, and the persons or things to be seized. Our Bill of Rights supposedly protects us from illegal search and seizure. Random checkpoints violate that most of the time. You probably just never ran into any. America and Canada both do occasional sobriety checkpoints, but it's usually late at night and around the holidays. In the US, all well within the borders, I have been stopped at 3 types of checkpoints. 1. DUI checkpoint. 2. Agricultural checkpoints ensuring plants produce were not brought across state lines. And 3. Immigration checkpoint. The last was the weirdest and most unsettling experience, to just randomly come across a little hut on a road and been forced to answer questions about our immigration status. I've been through them in New Mexico, but they generally don't stop cars. They just have dogs out and you drive your car through, then get back on the freeway. Stopping people without a reason is an unconstitutional search. Fourth Amendment. Police call it fishing. They like to give cute nicknames to their illegal abusive behavior. Part of the reason is just how massively large the US is as a place. People forget it spans a continent left to right. Even more interesting is Canada, which, while a lot of it is uninhabitable, is bigger than the US in size, with a population equal to that of California. In New Mexico, I have been stopped at checkpoints 4 times in 13 years. Twice going north on I-25 for immigration check. Once going west on US 60 for sobriety check. Once going west on US 60 in Magdalena by game and fish during elk season. We are supposed to be protected against search and seizure without probable cause. And somebody in your community has an active warrant isn't considered sufficient probable cause to stop and check everybody.